All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good crypto news stuff for you today. And the first thing I want to talk about is something kind of interesting, and a lot of people might not know the exact details of it. As most of us in Bitcoin know, there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin ever. There is about 17.7 million some Bitcoin in existence now. So that means there's only a few more, 4 million or so more Bitcoin to go. But it won't actually be mined till about 2140. So the majority of Bitcoin have already been mined. And another interesting thing, again, it will only ever be 21 million. So new Bitcoins won't be mined if Bitcoins are lost. So if you take a Ledger wallet, you throw it in the ocean, that Bitcoin is gone for good. And particularly in the early days of Bitcoin, there's a lot of people that would mine large amounts of it because the rewards were so large, and then would forget about it, or their hard drives would corrupt, or it wasn't really worth much, so they just kind of forgot about it and lost their private keys. So there are probably upwards of millions of Bitcoin lost. So that number 17.7 million is probably not true, as that's how many have been mined, but probably not how many are in existence that can actually be used or moved and are just sitting in some kind of wallet somewhere with a private key that was either lost, burned, destroyed, forgot about, or neglected, however you want to put it. So I wanted to go over the Bitcoin chart and just show you how ridiculous the Bitcoin halving will end up being over time. And you have to also realize that only a certain amount can be mined in a day, because the block time is every 10 minutes on average. So that means that if a whole bunch of hash power just got poured into Bitcoin right now, we would probably mine a few extra blocks or so, because it only actually resets about every week or two. And so, there is a lag period. So it is an average. And if a lot of coin got dropped, or a lot of hash rate got dropped, mind you, we would see it would take a very long time. So it's a 2-week adjustment period. So if all the hash rate in the world just dropped, and it was only my computer mining Bitcoin or something like that, or my ASIC or my CPU, I would not find a block. It would almost be certain, because the difficulty is so high for my single computer or CPU. It wouldn't happen. But 2 weeks later, the difficulty would savagely adjust to the fact that there's only one miner in the world, and at that point, Bitcoin would probably be dead. But it just goes to show that there is this period, so it's about an average. So because the number of Bitcoins created each time a user discovers a block, the block reward is halved based on a fixed interval of blocks, and the time it takes on average to discover a block can vary based on mining power and the network difficulty. The exact time of the block reward is halved can vary as well. Consequently, the time the last Bitcoin will be created will also vary and is subject to speculation based on assumptions. So the last Bitcoin would have been mined if it had been if the mining power remained constant since the first Bitcoin was mined. It would take about October 8th, 2140. But due to the mining power having increased overall over time, it should be about May 7th. 2140. So again, in over 120 years, it will take. Yet we have 17.7 million Bitcoin, and there's only 21 million. It's in fact actually a little bit lower. It's about 20,999,999 Bitcoin. It's not quite 21 million. And there's also, of course, the Genesis block. Those 50 are not counted, and there has been some errors over time with people not updating their nodes or something like that, and essentially destroying a block or two. So the actual number of total Bitcoin that will ever be is significantly lower than 21 million, especially considering that even if the Bitcoins exist, some may have been lost, exactly like the private key. Like if you had just thrown away your hard drive when you had mined Bitcoin because you're like, this is stupid, I don't like doing this, back in 2009, and you're kicking yourself for that one. But either way, so the first reward era was 50 blocks, and what's interesting is that the amount of Bitcoin that was added in those first 4 years was 10,500,000. So that's 50% of the entirety of Bitcoin in the first 4 years. After that, it was 25 till 2016, from about 2012 to 2016. And we added an additional 5,250,000 Bitcoin. So that's another increase of 50%, making it about 75% of all the Bitcoin that will ever be mined, ending at about 15,750,000. And the third era is what we are in now. And we will only add about 2,625,000 Bitcoin. So only an increase of 16%, leaving us, by the time this is all over, about 18,375,000 Bitcoin. We're at about 17,700,000 or so now. And that's 87%. And the next halving after 2020 is only going to be 6.25 per block. And the Bitcoin added will only total to 1,312,000 total Bitcoin in those 4 years, with just an increase of 7%, putting us at 93%. And you can see this dramatically drops off. So 50% increase, 16, 7, 3, 1, and then not even 1% increase after that. So eventually we go down to 3.12 Bitcoin per block, 1.56, then 0.78. So that means every 10 minutes, only less than 1 Bitcoin are made. And you have to also look to the fact that if it's an average of 10 minutes, right now we could create about 1,800 Bitcoin a day. Once it's 6.25, we could only create 900 Bitcoin a day, and then 400, and then et cetera, all the way down. Something along those lines. So that means if like the rate at which Bitcoin is sort of declining and people are losing keys or whatever, or the rate at which Bitcoin demand is increasing, eventually that demand is going to easily exceed what the block reward is going to give. It starts to get extremely interesting as it goes down. Eventually the block reward is extremely small. And eventually the block reward is so small that you start to get into the levels of Satoshis here. And while the Satoshi is really the only end bit, you could say that 18 Satoshis. So just bear with me on that one. So eventually by the 25th era, we're only at 298 Satoshi every 10 minutes. And it's only going to add in the entire 4 years that Bitcoin will exist in those 4 years of the 25th era, it's only going to add 0.625 Bitcoin in 4 years. That is only 0.0000928% increase of Bitcoin. As you can see, we reached 99% of Bitcoin really early, quite a while. At starting after 0.78 block, the 7th era, we're at 99% Bitcoin, and for the rest of time, essentially of Bitcoin, we're at 99% Bitcoin. So for the next 120 years, or well, at that point it'd be 110 years or so. Either way, and eventually, by the 32nd and 33rd era, we're only getting 2 Satoshi per block. So that means that miners are going to have to, at that point, have to be relying on transactions and the fees from transactions. And at the same time, the Satoshi will have to be worth quite a lot, because if you have a whole mining farm operation and only one person can get a Satoshi, how could you divide the Satoshi? That means only one person could solve the block at that point. Or at least one big mining farm. So now it's back to essentially running your own node again, and there's no mining pools, because a mining pool would be pointless, because how would you divide one Satoshi? Eventually you actually get nothing. In the last era, you literally get nothing. So in the second to last era, in 4 years, we only get 210,000 Satoshi increase in the entire year. 210,000 Satoshi in the entire 4 years of an increase. In the very last era, we get seemingly no Satoshi increase. However, in the total, you can see a slight difference in the total start Bitcoin. It is a little bit higher. And you can see that, like, the last era doesn't really give anything. Actually, no, the last era doesn't give anything at all. But it's from 32 to 33, because the 34th era is the last era. You can see that the Satoshis only increase by, so we have 0.9748, and then the last era that actually adds Bitcoin is 0.9769 Bitcoin. That's the only increase in Bitcoin that exists, only 210,000 additional Satoshi. So eventually Bitcoin will absolutely be out of control. So this article is actually kind of interesting, and it shows how like there has been some just willful destruction of Bitcoin. You could send it to like willful destruction addresses. People still send Bitcoin to the Genesis block. They treat it like as if it's a as if it's a wishing well. But moving on to additional news today, and we got a long video probably to make. So Facebook will reportedly charge nodes $10 million to run Global Coin. So the largest social media website in the world, Facebook, reported its cryptocurrency Global Coin, and it's going to cost $10 million. It's going to be charging $10 million for the privilege. Currently, there's no further information about the requirements needed to become a validator node or how these third parties will be rewarded. In any case, Global Coin already appears to be the antithesis of Bitcoin, where anyone can run their own road with relatively minimal resources. So we're not going to go into these articles too much. I do kind of want to speed this along a little bit, but for sure, yeah, another centralized crypto corporate coin, and it's just going to be corporations running their $10 million nodes, and they're certainly gonna make more money. They're gonna be rewarded by Facebook, whether it's by money or they're gonna get like a fee of the global coin or something like that when you process. They're of course going to be rewarded. Otherwise, you wouldn't pay $10 million. So yeah, good on you, Facebook, for your centralized coin. But again, it just seems a little ridiculous, like where we're going. I feel like I'm fighting something that's inevitable, in the sense that these corporate coins are going to be adding these digital tokens that will make money transfer very, very easy, and that sounds very good for crypto. But again, I think crypto was the fact that you could hold it yourself, and you could make it yourself, and you could put in the time and the money and the effort to do that, and that's sort of gone. Days of that are not gone, but eventually more and more corporate coins will push out a lot of the third-party developed coins, essentially amateur developers that made an excellent coin, but it'll just get crushed on by the corporate coins, except a few of the coins, of course. But Coinbase CEO confirms batch transactions coming in a few months. Wow, batch transactions? Doesn't every exchange already do that? And that's basically it. Coinbase congesting the Bitcoin mempool since 2012. So CEO Cotelier of Bitrefill called out Coinbase CEO Bryant Armstrong on May 31st for continued mismanagement of transaction infrastructure. After 7 years of operations, Coinbase still consumes a large percentage of mempool space, causes Bitcoin network congestion. So Armstrong says that his failure to implement the batch transactions is embarrassing. Well, you didn't do it for 7 years. I mean, that's just neglect at that point, not embarrassment. Finally, replying to Cotlier's tweet yesterday, the Coinbase CEO confirmed that batch transactions should be coming out in a few months. I bet they had absolutely no plans for that, but he's like, yeah, they're coming out in a few months, and then he has to tell his team to get on it. Like, yeah, go get on it. It wasn't planned, like acting as if it was planned. He also said it was embarrassing how long it's taken. So, crypto billion Armstrong knows a thing or two about embarrassing gaffes as his company grows, from key members of the team quitting to slip up, of hiring Neutrino, which was terrible. The firm's employees, don't forget the Bitcoin Cash fiasco. The firm's employees had ties with controversial hacking team that spied on their citizens, which is always a good thing. So yeah, Coinbase doesn't batch transactions and congest the mempool, and is sort of helping the whole world grow. All those fees grow to their maximum. Oh, I'm getting blown up again. I get blown up every time. But moving on to the next article. Massive crypto whale moves $464 million in Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin forecasts. So crypto whale watchers are tracking the movement of nearly $500 million in Bitcoin. A trader in question sent 59,294 Bitcoin from an unknown wallet to another one in an eye-popping transaction worth $464 million. So far, it appears that the Bitcoin has not been sent to an exchange, indicating the owner doesn't plan to sell the massive trove of Bitcoin. Maybe it was from a over-the-counter sale or something. So But I don't think anybody has really sold massively. There clearly has been some sell-offs lately, and we'll get to coin market cap soon. But I just wanted to throw that out there just in case we see a super, super, ultra massive sell-off. We're probably going to know where that came from. Moving on here, EOS price crashes below $7 despite a voice of a social network announcement. So EOS is crashing below $7 despite the recent positive news surrounding the network. The coin traded at 636 on Thursday. In the past few days, EOS slid from a recent peak of 850. EOS started to slide after Block One announced the Voice social media on June 1st. Unfortunately, the news failed to create additional hype, as crypto-related social media have shown only limited success and some potential for scams and bot activity displacing organic growth. Additionally, Coinbase added the option to earn EOS through its educational program, but not even the addition of EOS to the central Coinbase app managed to boost interest in the asset. Still, the possibility to hold EOS through Coinbase custody may invite some users who want the coin for speculation, but are not confident in creating EOS accounts, which is good, I suppose, adding to Coinbase, and I like that Coinbase is finally starting to add more coins. But I just want to mention on this is that, first of all, EOS has had a very bad reputation since it came out. Now, there are some EOS shills that will live and die by EOS, even if they don't believe in it. They have to believe in it because of the price. But it's just a very centralized, very, delegated proof of stake node oriented coin, which I don't think people just aren't so into. And the same, and then because we had Steam and we've had many other social media platforms that have been blockchain and had their own coin or something like that, and none of them are too successful. Steam and Steemit have gone down, Steam dollars and Steam have gone down way in price, and I don't think we'll ever return because there's so many people that with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Steam power that could all, release that as soon as they wanted to and, start powering down and start selling. There's just too much of it out there now, and I just don't think it's popular enough for anybody to really care about it anymore. And there's many other social media platforms and video platforms of blockchain that just didn't do so good. And now with a social media platform, I mean, first of all, this is a kind of a bad time. I mean, everybody's sort of leaving Facebook. Facebook is getting more and more dead. I feel like there should be, dust devils and stuff and like flying around. It looks like Texas, and cactuses and stuff. It just looks empty and dead. It's different. There's just so many ads everywhere and nobody cares anymore. And a lot of people just aren't on Facebook these days. And more people are leaving it. And so they're like, well, let's make another social media platform. And another problem is that they mentioned bots, which is a problem. Steemit was just absolutely hammered by bots that would give you Steam in order for you to give them Steams, for them to upvote your post. Everybody was just upvoting their post with money, but yet nobody was looking at your post. Nobody actually cared. They were just posting to make Steam and Steam dollars. And that's a problem when you join a social media platform just to make cryptocurrency or just to make money. You don't care about anybody else. You are just posting your content and hoping that people upvote it, and then you cash out. You're not really caring about other people's content, or at least the majority of people aren't. They're only just posting, and that's bad. So that's just empty posts, essentially, waiting to get upvoted by maybe somebody. And also Steam sort of was a blockchain platform, and it was sort of, I think the initial thought of everybody had was that, like, here's where we're going to go and discuss Bitcoin, openly, and coins and post things in blogs. But it really turned out to be like a photographer's dream. So everybody just would, like, they would post a picture of some like landscape on, at sunrise, and it would make $700, in upvotes. But if you put actual blockchain or Bitcoin or anything like that on there, like an article about it, nobody really upvoted it. Nobody really cared. So it turned into the wrong thing very, very quickly. And I don't think anybody cares about EOS or their voice platform. It just, nobody cares. So moving on, nearly 10 million in XRP is stolen in a Gatehub attack. So hackers have reportedly compromised nearly 100 XRP ledger wallets on cryptocurrency wallet service Gatehub, which was on June 6th by an announcement. In the statement, Gatehub reveals that it was notified by some of the customers and community members that held funds on their wallets had been stolen. company estimates that hackers managed to compromise around 100 Ledger wallets. Although the company did not initially identify any nefarious activities on its platform, it began an investigation on the matter wherein it discovered increased application programming interface calls from a small number of IP addresses. This could purportedly be the culprit got access to the encrypted keys. So on June 1st, we were made aware of a theft of 201,000 XRP and immediately started an investigation. It turned out that that account robbed was managed through Gatehub, and the defending account had stolen substantial amounts of from several other XRP accounts. They state that as of June 5th, approximately 23 million XRP, nearly $9.5 million at press time, were stolen from 80 to 90 victims, of around which 13 million had already been laundered through exchanges and mixer services. Gatehub notes that it's still conducting the investigation and thus cannot post any official conclusions. So, XRP is probably going to dump a little bit sooner or later here. But interestingly enough, it's actually kind of slightly rising, but there was a little dump. So who knows? Good old crypto hacks. I mean, more has been stolen in crypto hacks than, lot going on. So $256 million market cap, $256 billion market cap. We were 256 million. We'd be in a little bit of trouble. But so we're definitely going way down. I think our best we had was like 280 some billion, and we've definitely gone on down. So in my previous couple of videos, I was saying, well, it could go either way, which I get it. But I was thinking that if it really, dipped below 8,000, then we were going to kind of see a loss of that resistance zone. And we have, and we're just consistently going down now. It's just a matter of how far are we going to go down. BSV on its way down. It had too high of a rise too quickly, and that's just the way it goes. But 7,700 Bitcoin. 243 Ethereum, 41 cent XRP though, so we finally broke that 30 cent curse that was going on for a long time. But again, we'll have to see where we are going after this one. But that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video. My social media in the description below. I almost forgot about that. Don't forget my social media in that description below. Gotta love that social media. But that's all I have for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed it. And as usual, I'll see you next time.